What up? Hope you're well, guys. And in this video, I want to talk about, in this live stream, I want to talk about how the United States of America has become a tribal nation, tribal country, rather, with a bunch of nations within its borders. So, unless you guys have been living under a rock, the United States is not the same United States that you might remember from 10 years ago, 15 years ago, or even 20 years ago. It's a very different place now. For some of you guys that travel internationally, you go to places like Dominican Republic, perhaps, go to Jamaica, perhaps. You might be familiar with what I'm talking about. When you go out to these countries and you start to interview people that live in those countries, they'll keep it real with you on how they really feel about the United States of America with no propaganda. Because when you're in the United States and you don't travel, you're not exposed to anything outside of the propaganda within the United States. And there's nothing wrong with propaganda per se, because every single country has propaganda. You go to DR, they have propaganda too on the national TV. Jamaica also has their propaganda. Here in Africa, every single country has propaganda. Every single country has propaganda. And the purpose of this propaganda is to protect the brand of the country. Rightfully so. Brand America has to protect itself through propaganda. So we're not here to attack propaganda per se. We're here to address this shift, this change that has already happened in the United States and how it impacts the home healthcare business. And then you guys need to be aware of this, because if you're not aware of this shift and this change, then you just be wondering, why am I not making money? Why am I struggling in life? Well, I'm about to give you the answers of why. Things are stressful in America and how to adjust to these changes so you can make money. Because at the end of the day, the United States is capitalistic still. It's a capitalistic machine that is a beast. And your job is to make sure that you capitalize on that machine, or else you become the victim. I don't want you to become a victim of the machine. I want you to profit from the machine, because now it's become a machine. How do we know it's become a machine? Because no one cares about you like that. You think the government cares about you? Hell no, they don't care about you. They need you to pay your taxes. You should pay your taxes. They need you to, be a good citizen and not cause problems, so they don't lock you up. I'm sorry, I'm laughing, man. It's funny. The truth is funny, man. If you think about it, it's hard for you to see the bigger picture when you're inside the frame. But when you're outside the frame, when you travel internationally, you see the picture very clearly, the full picture. The United States of America is not the same as 10 years ago, 20 years ago. It's become a nation, a country of different nations, tribes within its borders. And this is simply because people are very fearful. For the last decade, let's just say only the last 10 years, there's been a lot happening politically. There's been a lot happening socially, society. And in fact, society is collapsing. It's completely collapsed at this point, but not for everybody. That's the good news. Society has collapsed for specific groups of people, but other groups of people are thriving. I'm about to tell you how you can capitalize on the groups that are still thriving. Because in every single situation like this one, there'll be winners and losers. And already they're winners and losers right now. And you need to know where the winners are. Because if you don't know where the winners are, how are you going to make money? You won't. You continue to struggle and trying to figure out why. I'm struggling. I'm only making $35 an hour. Yeah. Unless you know what the real money is, we can start commanding $300 an hour. You continue to make $35 an hour in the economy where, $35 an hour does not take you anywhere. It's straight poverty. I saw a post on Instagram, maybe it was, I'm not sure, maybe it was Instagram, that said the new minimum wage is $66 an hour. Should be. When you adjust for the cost of living, how expensive gas is, groceries, rent, it should be $66 an hour. And I agree with that guy. This is why men are not going to work anymore. If you ever want to see the decline of a society, just look at its men. Men are not going to work anymore because they know the game is rigged against them. So they'll rather see the whole thing collapse, completely fall apart, than participate in that rigged game. That's just how men think. That's how men are. So if you're still playing the rigged game and making and accepting $35 an hour, you already lost. You already lost the plot, guys. So you need to start making your own opportunity in the chaos and the dysfunction. Because there's already so much chaos and dysfunction right now that people can't even do anything. They can't even breathe. They're suffocating under this economy. I'm seeing it's a daily thing now where people are just crying on social media, begging for money on social media. I don't mind people who are asking for money on social media. I don't mind that. If they're providing good value for my money. What are you providing when it comes to value for me to hand you, $5, $10? What am I benefiting from you? If it's just you crying about, you need to pay your rent, I'm sorry. I'm not paying $5 for you to pay your rent because I know that rent is overpriced anyway. So I'm not contributing to that. But if you say, contribute $5 to for me to get some food, and I'll teach you this cool skill about how to make pasta with cheese for only $2 per serving, I'm paying. I'm contributing $5 to that because I want to see. Because you're going to teach me something. When you teach me something, that's the only way I'm going to make a contribution. This is how human beings are behaving now in this market, in this new market. And unfortunately, a lot of people are not caught up to that. But they're gonna find out the hard way very, very soon. The game has changed, guys. It's not the same game that you were playing last year, 2024, that you're playing in 2023. I was talking to one of my friends. He's about my age. He's in his 40s now. And I've had multiple conversations with this guy, multiple. And the last conversation I had with him was 2 days ago. And I just discovered, it's pointless. There's no point in even continuing on the conversation. Because the last conversation that we had, I warned him about all the things that I'm telling you right now. I told him, listen, things are about to hit the fan. Is about to hit the fan. You better start getting your ducks in a row, get yourself lined up, get rid of that apartment, get rid of that car, because he has a leased car. And he lives in a pretty good building, nice apartment. I told him, just get rid of those things, bro. Because the way this economy is looking, And things are about to get ugly, ugly out here. That's what I told him. But he didn't listen. Fortunately, he still has a job and he's still able to, make an income. So he's blessed that way. And he's able to at least pay his rent and eat. But most people can't do that. So he's lucky. He's got valuable skills that the market still wants. So that anybody that needs the skills is willing to pay whatever he asks for. Since America has become tribal, it's because people have been fearful. There's a lot of crime. When you live in a place where there's a lot of crime, you stop noticing it. It's not until you travel, you come back, you're like, damn, America is very violent. Why am I always feeling tense every time I'm in downtown Atlanta? I'm feeling very tense. It's crazy. I used to live in Harlem back in the day. I lived in Harlem for 10 years. I never felt unsafe in Harlem. In the 10 years that I lived there, from 2006 until 2016, I felt very safe in those 10 years. Then I went there recently as maybe 2 years ago. I didn't feel safe. I did not feel safe in Harlem. Even though, check this out, even though there are more people that are not of color in Harlem now, I still didn't feel safe. Harlem is very diverse now. Yeah, different people from everywhere. White people, black people, Puerto Ricans, everybody is in Harlem now. But I still didn't feel safe because there was still like some level of tension there that you had to move correct or else. And this is coming from somebody who lived there for 10 years. The game has changed. So that means back to the tribal thing. When I was in Harlem, I noticed that the different groups of people only hang out with different groups of people, or with their own tribe. Is what I'm saying. I mean, it's always been a thing, but now it's on steroids, guys. Now it's on steroids, and it's about to get worse. People are fleeing the cities. New York City is not what I'm used to. It's not. I noticed the subways, most of the stations, they don't have stores anymore. Everything is run down. When I was in Harlem, when I used to live in Harlem for 10 years, you could go into the subway, you could buy your snacks, all the stores are open. Everything was cool. But now it's like the 80s now. Harlem is like what it was in the 80s. Sorry, New York is like what it was in the 80s. That's what we're going back to. We're slowly degrading down to that. So even within Harlem, there will be the different communities will only hang out with their own communities. And that's for a reason, for protection. When people are fearful, when people are lonely, they're gonna seek their own tribe. Like I said, it's always been a thing, but now it's like out of control now. America is very segregated, guys. It's going back to segregation now. And you need to start adjusting to that. But it's not going to be as bad, though. Let me tell you what I mean. When I say it's going back to segregation, I'm not talking about like racism, 1960s segregation where you're called an N-word to your face in a major city like New York. No, that's not what I'm talking about. It's respectful segregation. Do you understand what I'm saying by respectful segregation? Let me explain. There was a time before slavery, back in the day, like just think before slavery, when the Europeans came to the United States and then they started to live next to the Native Americans. They all lived in peace. Everybody lived at peace. They all traded amongst each other. They all traded amongst each other. They got along. You know, if the tribal people needed sugar, they go to the Europeans. The Europeans gave them sugar, and if the Europeans needed salt, they went to the tribal people, and then the tribal and Native Americans would give them sugar, until somebody effed up. Until somebody effed up, and things got out of hand. I don't think it's going to come down to that. That's not what I'm saying. Things are not going to go out of hand like that. It's going to be respectful segregation. It's not going to be like when the Europeans came to the United States. It's not going to be like that. It's going to be a new version of that. And also, it's not going to be like the segregation that we saw in the 60s. It's not going to be like that because the laws will not allow that to happen. However, it's going to be, let's say, a group of the Jewish community and the Black people who live side by side, and then they trade amongst each other when it comes to services and goods in a respectful manner. I mean, it was already a thing, but it's going to be more apparent now. Where, for example, this is how it impacts the home care business, by the way. Let me tie the whole thing back. I'm going to use the Jewish community and the Black community, Black American or Africans, whatever, pick one. In the Jewish community is generally more wealthy than the Black community. I'm using the example of New York City, because New York is the largest city in the country. So it's a great example to use for this one. There's already a Jewish community that lives in Brooklyn, a Jewish community that lives in parts of Long Island, very wealthy families, okay? And the Jewish community that lives in Brooklyn, I forgot which part of Brooklyn it is. Fort Greene, maybe? Somewhere in Brooklyn. If you're from New York, you know what I'm talking about, okay? That community is already wealthy, and it's going to get wealthier and wealthier. And as people get wealthier and wealthier, they will want to buy back their time and buy services from other communities, goods and services from other communities. So what the Jewish community in New York City will start to do, instead of caring for their elderly, because they got to work, because they got to grind, they got to put the work in. Maybe they're a lawyer, doctors, whatever, and they got to serve their community or whatever. So instead of that rich Jewish guy taking care of his mom himself, he's going to have to hire somebody from the African community, whether it's the Ghanaians or the Nigerians, and he will only accept the best service. So if you're from the Ghanaian community, the Nigerian community, African American community, and if you're the best as a caregiver, you can command whatever rates that you want to that Jewish guy. And he'll pay it. But you got to know how to brand yourself. This is because if you are the best, it's going to be hard for this Jewish guy to replace you. So you need to know how to brand yourself as the best caregiver in your community to serve the other tribe. And you'll be rewarded handsomely for it. Because there's no way he's going to get somebody to do that job in his community at that level. Because let's keep it real. Most people, especially in the Jewish community, especially if they're millionaires, think about it. In a community of, let's say, 100 Jewish families, and they're all multimillionaires, and you tap into just that small community of 100 Jewish families, they know who you are, they trust you. All you need is one person to trust you, and you're in. You always have work. And if you're good, you can be like, listen, I'm not taking nothing less than 20 grand, or else you shove it. He's going to pay it. He's going to pay it. The reason why he's going to pay it, because you're going to do the work. You're going to do an excellent job. And there's a lot of trash out there. There's a lot of garbage people out there. If you're like an RN or nurse, LPN that is in their 30s or their 40s, that's the sweet spot. The millennials, that, to me, I like hiring the millennials. Because the Gen Zers, no disrespect to the Gen Zers, but the Gen Zers are not taking up it. They're not taking any crap, guys. And I respect them. The problem now with Gen Z is like they just need to gain a little bit more experience. So if you're a Gen Z, if you are ready to get into this business, all you got to do is just be competent. And you don't need like 10, 20 years of experience anymore to get the money that you need in this game. You don't. As soon as you get your license as a caregiver or whatever, in fact, you know, as soon as you get your license, you know, invest in getting your branding up. Get your branding up. Now with the AI, you can do all of that. It's easy. It's very easy to set up your branding, to make sure, you know, everything is good. Actually, let me post something real quick. One second. I gotta post something. All right. Make sure you guys, yeah, there we go. Let me pin this to the top. There we go. Perfect. All right. So it's very easy with AI now to set up your branding for your services. Very fast. Set up your payment processing, all the stuff. It's very fast now. Instead of you like slaving away and going to like look for a job, no, set up your own operations. You don't have to work for any agency. Tap into these rich Jewish communities. Like I said, these people already know that there's a lot of trash out there. There's too much trash, garbage human beings out there. This new breed of human beings is garbage, guys. So if you have, you know, at least 10 years of experience, you are in your 30s, you're in your 40s, it's jackpot time. Jackpot. I'm here to keep it real with you guys. I've seen a lot of people, a lot of nurses that I went to school with. I mean, I didn't go to nursing school by any means. I didn't. But I used to hang out, and I went to school with people that got into nursing after their undergrad. They got into nursing. And some people I used to hang out with when I was in my 20s. I'm in my 40s now. Some people I used to hang out with, they became nurses, and they got comfortable in the job, working for somebody. You should see them now. They're a shell of their former self because they sold their time to some agency that doesn't care about them. And they didn't know how to pivot to work for themselves. So they end up wasting a lot of time. And that's not good. Time wasted can never be recovered. But money wasted can always be recovered. Always. You can always recover money. Like I said, once you build yourself to a certain level, you can command 20 grand a month from these rich guys. They're going to be competing to get you to take care of the, you know, they're going to be trying to poach you, to steal you from from their buddies, because they know how hard it is to find you. Do you know how difficult it is to find good people? It's very hard because there's so much garbage out there, guys. So much garbage. Don't confuse volume for quality. This is the biggest problem, a lot of people in the dating market are experiencing now. They're starting to wake up to this reality that, man, I thought I had all these options. I had all these options, but those are not real options. Those are fake news. Men and women. A lot of people are waking up to the reality that good people are very rare. So if you know deep down that you're a good person, this is your time to shine. This is your time to shine because people are tired of the garbage. People are tired of garbage people. Think about it this way, right? Let us say you are a rich Jewish person that has an old person that needs their care. And that person, maybe they started getting a caregiver from the age of 75. And they've had different caregivers for the last 10 years. Now that person is now 85. Maybe they, went through a bunch of caregivers. Some quit, some, you know, uh, get fired. It happens. There are times where people go through like 3 or 4 caregivers in like a span of 5 years because the job is hard. I'm telling you right now, they always remember the one that was the best. They always remember him or her. Always. They'll never forget the best one. Never. It's like you never forget your best boyfriend. You never forget your best girlfriend. It's the same thing with the employers when it comes to this caregiving thing. I've spoken to many of you that talked about, oh, you were complimented by your former bosses. They told you how great you were, all this and that. But what did you do with that information? Did you take action on that information? Don't you realize that that was the universe trying to talk to you and speak to you and say, listen, you're great. Don't waste this opportunity. I'm speaking from experience because I've had a lot of people that have not given me my flowers over the last, let's say 30 years of my life, 20 years of my working life, 25 years of my working life. A lot of people that never told me I'm great at anything. But I always remember the ones that told me that. And those people are very few and rare. Now I'm starting to take it seriously. And you should be taking it seriously when I tell you that if you're watching this content, if you've been watching more than one of my videos, you're one of the great ones. And you'll be appreciated in whatever tribe whatever tribe is forming out there. It doesn't have to be the Jewish community. It can be the German community because there's a big German community. It could be the Puerto Rican community, a bunch of wealthy Puerto Ricans in the United States. It could be the Black American community. There are a bunch of wealthy Black Americans, especially in Atlanta. It could be, what's another group that likes to make money, that's got a lot of money? You know what I'm talking about. Fill in the gaps. There's so many different communities in the United States, so many. The strategy now, guys, is to tap into how you can get in now, how you can get in. Because all you need, especially if you're a good person, all you need is that one lick. Everybody's going to be talking about you in that community. Everybody. So the best strategy I'll give you right now, as we, close off this live stream, is to start tapping into ChatGPT. Leverage ChatGPT. Whatever city that you're in, let's say you're in Ohio, Columbus, you're in Philly, Ohio's. Let's use Ohio because there's a lot of hustlers in Ohio. Use ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT, what is the population of Columbus, Ohio by ethnicity? And it will give you all that information and it will tell you where they live. Because now people are very tribal, so they'll move into their own communities. Like if you go to the Bronx, go to certain parts of the Bronx, man, the Ghanaians run the show over there. And the Ghanaians, like, they all support each other. And I love it so much. Anytime that I need to get like really affordable food in great quantity in New York City, I know exactly where to go at the Bronx. I know exactly where to go. Because I'm going to get good value for my money when I go over there. That's because everybody supports each other. So that community is actually pretty wealthy. There's going to be some that will be open as these communities start to get wealthy. There's going to be some, like, for example, Nigerian communities that are pretty wealthy in certain parts of, like, let's say Atlanta. Maybe it could be a group of like 100. And out of those 100, there's one granny. Okay? And they'll pay it, whatever you ask them. They'll pay it because they're millionaires. They can afford it. So maybe tap into a community like that one if you're a Nigerian. If you're not ready to start serving a different tribe. But I encourage you to be open-minded. Now that the United States is very tribal, be open-minded. Go to ChatGPT, research where these communities are, where they're concentrated, some of their customs, some of the things they care about. Learn those things. Use ChatGPT to learn those things. Because a lot of caregivers I've noticed, they actually come from the immigrant communities, like the Africans, the Caribbeans, and whatnot. These people are not very open-minded to hang out with different people like that. They're not. So if you're watching this, you know I'm right. You know I'm right. You're not open-minded to explore what else is out there. You want to be just in your own communities, but you're missing out on a lot of money. You're missing out on too much money when you could be branding yourself to other tribes. Other tribes need you. They need the sugar. They need the best quality sugar. Go sell them the sugar, which is the sugar, in this case, it's good quality customer care, client, home care services. Good care for the elderly. If you need my help on how to brand your home care agency, schedule time. I'll put a link, as you can see right here. I'll put a link in this live stream. Schedule some time. Let's talk about how to brand you to whatever tribe that you've identified. Like, let's say if you're in Columbus, you said, okay, I want to go serve the Jewish community. I'm just using the Jewish community because it's easy for a lot of people to relate. I want to go serve the Jewish community in Columbus, and I know where they live. Can you help me put together the right branding so I can start marketing to them? Let's talk about that. Because at the end of the day, it's all about how you approach them, how respectful you are in your approach and how you present yourself at the end of the day. You can't just approach them anyhow like that. No, because people are very tribal and they'll protect their tribe from the outsiders. So your approach better be correct. And it starts with you learning sales skills too. This is something you need to learn. Some of you guys don't even know how to sell nothing. You don't. And that's not an insult. I'm just keeping it real that you need to learn some of these skills so that you can be out there making the money that you deserve. Because $35 an hour is not going to cut it anymore, guys. It's not. I hope you got some value from this video. If you're ready to work with the best, schedule time, and I'll talk to you soon.